To get rid of those pesky ads, request stories, listen to unlisted and bonus episodes, and to chat with the gang, support us by clicking the description link.
I do have to say, I was thinking about how life is kind of like milk. Like how like there's like an expiration date, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that like, I don't know, I'm getting pretty close to like 31. Like a Best Buy date is not necessarily.
Oh
Best
my
Buy,
God,
No,
dude.
hear me out.
You're saying you have an expiration date?
No, I said I had a Best Buy date, and I think that 31 is it because it's getting close. Like the other day, I bent down and my knees were like really bad, and not just like the crepitus that you would hear, like you know, like a normal
Same
aging
with
person.
me, dude.
Like
you can't hardly get up.
My back was like all locked up the other day. Like it's tough. I think my Best Buy date is 31 and it's getting close. I'm less than a month away.
I'll remind you of it every day from now on.
Like not an expiration date. That's different. Like a suggested use by date, a Best Buy date.
But like for what?
For like health. Like I'm getting up there.
Like you don't think you're gonna make it? Like
yeah, I don't know. Like it's been a rough. I don't know if maybe just the events of this past week have shrouded me in like negativity, but like it's been bad. Like my knees hurt ever since I was in that car for that long trip. I was in the car for like over 24 hours.
You need to get some compression stuff, some compression sleeves.
I need to like get someone to make me exercise instead of me saying I'll do it and then like not do it.
Just start slow. Go for a walk.
I know,
right,
and that sounds great. But then when I get to do it, I'm like, no, I think I'll nap instead.
Well, this is a shot for Natasha. We're just gonna skip over another request because I think you need it, girl. Natasha, this one is for you and for your dad.
Yeah. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Natasha. Cheers to your dad.
That's the stuff.
Was that wild turkey or something?
Jameson.
It was Crown Royal. I was looking for Jameson. I felt like we needed a good whiskey to honor.
What's that SNL skit? To Bill Braxton. Bill Braxley.
yeah, I know. I actually know that skit.
Yes, proud of you.
Yeah.
Welcome to Talk Murder Me podcast. My name is John. I'm sitting here with Jen and Nicole. Tonight we're doing a terrible story. This is one that I found that, you know, honestly, so our co-host Jen, she decided to take like 3 months off. So I wanted to just punish her as much as I could. So
I was gone for 2 weeks.
Actually felt like forever.
I know, I'm sorry. Actually 1.5 because I did.
No, it was 2.
So tonight,
two talk murders.
Tonight we are doing a story that's not really too popular and it's very upsetting. We've covered a couple stories like this before.
Not popular and upsetting. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we may have done 1 or 2 that are unpopular and upsetting.
I am also going to finish the Lawrence Singleton case. That was for our good friend Natasha. She requested that.
I keep thinking Lawrence Fishburne, the actor, when you keep saying Lawrence Singleton, and I don't know why. I just associate Fishburne with the name Lawrence. He's an actor.
Yeah, he's a Matrix guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tonight we're starting at July 6, 2009, 351 Wayside Drive.
Ooh, that sounds like a dangerous place to be.
Has anybody heard of the Otty Sanchez case?
No.
And if you have, you can still leave. But you won't be able to participate in the trivia.
Could you imagine if they had sound effects like on AOL Instant Messenger where we heard the door slam each time someone signed
Oh my
off?
gosh.
So this is where we're going. We're going to Tejas tonight, Texas, by San Antonio, 351 Wayside Drive. This is the address where a 911 call comes in.
Oh my God. San Antonio Fire and EMS, how can we help you? I needed ambulance at 351 Wayside Drive. 351 Wayside?
Yes.
A house or an apartment?
It's a house. It's an emergency.
Okay, and what's going on? What's the emergency?
I'm sorry?
What's the emergency? What's going on?
My sister she's hurt her child. Seriously, hurt her child.
How did she do that? What's going on with the child?
The baby is dead.
What did you say?
The baby is dead.
She didn't lead with that. She has hurt her child.
Not even 3 weeks old. Please.
What did she do to him?
Oh,
Or her?
she stabbed him. Blood all over the bed. I don't know.
All right, ma'am. You're going to connect me up to the police, okay?
She's gone crazy last night. She was hearing voices. She kept bringing me the baby, and finally she calmed down, and I took her back to baby. And then now I just woke up to her screaming.
The sister says, I told you to come to me. And then Otty Sanchez said, quote, I tried, but I thought that you died.
Yes. Where did she stab herself? In the heart and in the stomach, she says. No. Where did she see it? I see a stab wound in her heart, yes. Your sister? I'm looking at her right now, yes.
Oh.
EMF? Okay. All right, they're on their way, okay? Oh my God.
911 call comes in July 6, 2009, 351 Wayside Drive. This is 5 a.m. in the morning. There's obviously a Hispanic family. The mother's there. You hear in the background, Mama, calm down. The sister's the caller, and then the killer, which is the mother of the baby, 3-week-old. July 6, 2009, 3-week-old son Scott Wesley Buckholtz Sanchez. They called him Baby Scotty, so I'll call him Baby Scotty.
Scotty doesn't know.
3 weeks old. On 911 call, the 911 call comes in, quote, I didn't mean to do it. He told me to. Who told her to? The devil. The baby is dead. My sister had gone crazy last night, hearing voices. She kept bringing me the baby. Otty Sanchez, the mother, 33, was charged with capital murder. And we're going to get...
capital murder?
Well, we're going to get into everything here in a second. I mean, at the end, to wrap this episode up, we're going to go back to the house and see exactly what happened.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm a little confused.
But I'm just going to tell you right now that the baby was described as, quote, grossly mutilated and found in the bedroom of her sister's home. This murder happened between 1:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. Officers arrived at 5 a.m. and from the police chief, William McManus, quote, she was hysterical, screaming, I killed my baby. I killed my baby. Otty Sanchez is the killer and the mother. Her and her sister took turns caring for the baby at night. She was living at the time very briefly with her sister. I believe it was her mother's house. The mother's house is there. However, I did see in one report it said it could have been the sister's house. Either way, it was the mother, the sister,
a family member's house.
And then
yeah.
Otty was living there too with the 3-week-old baby.
Got it.
That was who was in the house.
Okay.
There was also 2 more kids in the house from the sister, which we'll get to. But they're not in the background. But just know that during the murder, there was 2 small other children in the house, a 5 and a 7-year-old.
Okay.
The crime was so disturbing, and we're going to get to the exact crime, so disturbing that the San Antonio Police Department provided counseling service for every officer that entered that home.
Damn.
It wasn't just stabbing the baby. We're going to get to what it was. Our good friend Natasha from Live Chat brought up something that you can ponder over: postpartum psychosis. What's the difference between that and postpartum depression? Now let's talk about Otty Sanchez. Actually, let me show you a photo of her right quick. This is the mother and the baby right here. Can you describe her? That's fucking sad, man. Look, I mean, my God.
they're bonding. The baby was just born, lying in bed.
Does it look like she is bonding?
I mean, she's like holding the baby's little hands, looking at the baby adoringly.
Otty Sanchez was born 1976 to a large family. This is a Hispanic family. Most of the family members in her history has had a problem of mental health issues. So Natasha, I think, brought up postpartum psychosis. Did she just explain what that was?
Well, she was saying that you could experience, whether that be bouts of psychosis or depression or OCD, but basically brought about after the birth of a child in a mother.
Yeah, and that happens, and we're going to get to this because I went to this psychology, but that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Depression. Psychosis is different, though.
Yeah.
She grew up in a home with 7 other relatives. It was crowded, and the paper said most of the family members have a history of mental health problems. She never knew her own father. The family always moved around. When she was a child, 3 different states, at least 20 different homes. She just moved around a lot. All right, so this is the photo of her.
Oh, look at the little baby.
I know.
Oh, Scotty.
This is a 3-week-old baby when this happened. So this is a very current photo of when this happened. Does it look like, Jen, that the mother and the baby are bonding? Do you think it's a genuine bond? I mean, I know this is kind of a dumb question, but just wondering,
I mean, honestly, in that picture, she looks kind of suspicious of the baby, like paranoid of the baby.
When she was 5 years old, now we're talking about the mother, Otty Sanchez, she started hearing voices, but according to her, they were, quote, good voices, end quote, 5 years old.
So she was having auditory hallucinations.
At 5, these voices were really good to her. They were helping her out, helping her get through life. But eventually the voices became more and more negative.
In a Hispanic family, if she was born in the 70s.
But yes, and the entire family thought that Otty Sanchez was the most level-headed child in the family. So you can tell right there. And she didn't disclose that she was hearing voices.
She didn't tell her family that she was hearing voices?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say, especially for, I would say for Hispanic family in the 70s, like Hispanic culture, I would say is largely Christian, a lot of Catholics. And you usually, I would say, kind of lean more on the faith than going the mental health route. But also in the 70s, that wasn't a thing yet either. So she probably wasn't getting the help that she needed, especially if she didn't disclose any of this to anyone.
At 5 years, and it made me think of this. Does anyone out there, has anyone seriously had an imaginary friend? Like, not just someone you're thinking of, like, oh yeah, like you can kind of think about them, but actually seeing a friend, imaginary friend, or you had a child or something, or knew a child that actually saw something. That's scary.
Yeah.
As fuck.
Yeah.
That is really scary to me. Like, you should not actually be able to conversate and see someone that is not there.
You know what that is? Ghosts.
Oh, Jesus fuck. Ghosts don't exist.
Like
They do.
schizophrenia? I don't know.
Ghosts do exist, number one.
Otty Sanchez was the most level-headed child in the family growing up, and she was the smartest child of all the family. She had good enough grades to study after high school as a pharmacy technician. In 2003, she met her baby's daddy, Scott, and it was an incredibly dysfunctional relationship. Frequent breakups, maybe abuse. I didn't see any physical abuse in there, but the father, Scott W. Buckholtz, they met 6 years ago while they were both studying to be pharmacy assistants.
6 years ago in 2009, meaning in 2003? Yes, got it.
But the father, who is a diagnosed schizophrenic,
Buckholtz?
yes, I don't know if he changed his attitude after, but at the time of this murder of his own son, he says the following, quote, "She killed my son. She should burn in hell.
Wow.
She held him. She breastfed him. She did everything for him that was nice. She was a sweet person and I still love her, but she needs to pay the ultimate price for what she has done. She needs to be put to death for what she has done." The father, Scott Buckholtz, said that his baby mama suffered from postpartum depression, and she actually told him that she was schizophrenic 1 week before the murder.
Wow.
So what we're talking about here is two schizophrenics having a baby. Otty was undergoing psychiatric treatment, and before the baby was born, before they even knew that she was pregnant. Yes, she was in a dysfunctional relationship, but she had been going for years to random psychiatric treatments and was even involuntarily put up in a treatment facility.
What do
at
you
one
mean
point.
by random?
Like, she would have a breakdown, then they would put her...
So she's been in and out of the mental health care system.
a lot, before they even thought about having a baby. Now, I'm not sticking up for her, but this episode, I really want to drive the home the fact that, like Natasha said, postpartum psychosis.
Right. But now I know you said that they had a dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah.
But when I'm still laughing at the fact that he's just drinking out of this bottle.
That was almost full when you brought it here.
So they were in a dysfunctional relationship, but after the baby was born, were they together? Was the father involved?
Yeah. The father was involved.
So the father was involved, and he knew that his partner was suffering from postpartum depression, like
Postpartum. That was
Sorry,
like the
it was.
Boston
Well,
accent coming out.
From what I found out in the story, most females suffer from postpartum depression. At least some minor form of it, at least.
But she mentioned
Because of the hormone changes in the body.
Okay, so but he wasn't living with the family, was he?
Yes, he was. She actually just moved to her sister's home a few nights before. Not because of anything he did, but because...
But he wasn't with her the night that the murder happened?
No, he wasn't with her.
Okay. But I don't know, like I feel like
He's
you
the
can't
blame?
No, I'm not blaming anyone, because you can't blame someone in an instance like this because you can't stop someone from killing someone, especially if they're experiencing mental illness themselves and they're not in control of their actions. I mean, I think she should be held responsible somehow, but
Otty's aunt, Gloria Sanchez, said that she had been in and out of a psychiatric ward for many months. Now, this is prior to the baby, even the news of the baby. Otty had moved in with her parents 1 week earlier, and she left the father on July 20th after she was hospitalized for depression. She was hospitalized for depression. She goes in there. She is schizophrenic. She tells them that she's hearing voices and stuff. May 2008, her mother, Manuela, calls the police and files a missing persons report because she goes to Austin with a friend. And what I read in the paper is they go down to Austin for a girls type of trip, and her friend goes to get like manicures and stuff like that. Otty actually leaves.
Oh, damn.
From where her friend was and is found wandering around a small pharmacy. She had been there for 4 hours just looking at the drugs in a state that she doesn't even remember. She doesn't even remember being there. That pharmacy called the police and she was arrested for that. This is before she even
was
was
arrested?
pregnant. Yeah, she was arrested because, not arrested, but taken in because she's sitting there. She didn't even know where she's at.
This is one of her involuntary.
Yeah, this is one of the commitments.
Okay.
That
I was like, what crime did she commit? Okay, yeah. Okay, involuntary assignments to mental health facility. Got it.
the day before the murder that happened was a Saturday. She takes the baby Scotty, to the father's house. She had already moved into the sister's house, and she stormed out when he had asked for a copy of the birth certificate. She storms out. She does this whole thing. He actually calls 911 because, quote, she drove away with the infant without properly restraining him in the car. Mental illness caused her to lose her job in the pharmacy. She was having erratic behavior.
So she lost her job in the pharmacy. Was she ever like convicted of stealing medications or anything?
No, it wasn't that. It was just erratic behavior. She wasn't arrested per se. She was taken in and then always treated
into like protective custody type thing.
Yeah, and treated in a mental facility.
Okay.
For example, when she was in Austin wandering around the pharmacy for 4 hours, she really didn't know what she was doing. They arrested her per se, and then took her to the Austin State Hospital, mental hospital, where she spent 16 days. There she was diagnosed as a schizophrenic. So we know right now that she is a schizophrenic. She was not taking her medications. She was assigned to an outpatient center for healthcare services in San Antonio. She was diagnosed as a schizophrenic.
Okay.
This is 1 year before the murder.
Okay.
In 2008, budget cuts meant that she had to start paying for her own medication and treatment. I think the medication is like AC7 or something. It's some AZ or something. That's the schizophrenic medication. She was required to pay for the medication. She doesn't make a lot of money, okay? You saw the house. They don't make a ton of money. She cannot afford that fucking medication. Soon after, she finds out she's pregnant by a father of another schizophrenic.
The father also has schizophrenia. Yeah, okay, got it.
Also schizophrenic. Let's talk about the postpartum psychosis, like Natasha said. Schizophrenia generally develops in men in their late teens and early 20s. Women usually develop it later in life, like 30s and plus. Most mothers suffer from what they call postpartum blues. This isn't postpartum depression, but it's just kind of I don't feel very good.
Well, I mean, you literally pushed a human out of you that was living in you for 9 months. So, I mean.
Yeah. Or most mothers suffer from postpartum blues. 1/5 suffer from depression, despair, no sleep, they don't eat. And in very rare cases, 1 out of 1,000 women, and go back to the Dina Schlosser case where she actually cut her arms off her baby. I think the episode title was Slice, Slice, Baby.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I remember we questioned whether we should go with that or not. Like, is that too far?
Now,
No.
I dive pretty deep into this postpartum psychosis. 1 out of 1,000. 1 in 1,000 women suffer from postpartum psychosis. Now, I looked this up specifically for this case. Postpartum psychosis is different from postpartum blues or postpartum depression, as it is a delusion that often involves religious symbols and a desire to harm their newborn. Now, this is according to a Richard Pesikoff, a psychiatry professor at Baylor College of Medicine. Quote, the most common part of postpartum psychosis is the delusional thinking. Often, but not always, it encompasses some type of religious thought, end quote. Dr. Lucy Purrier, a Houston psychiatrist who testified in the Andrea Yates case, which we haven't done, but I did a blog post on it. She actually drowned her...
Yeah, the bathtub mom.
Yeah, there you go. Quote, and this is what the doctor says, quote, the scary thing is that the delusions are usually about the baby. In all of the high-profile cases, the thinking involves the baby. The mother had tried to kill the baby to protect it, or God has spoken to the mother, and there is a mission to kill the baby, or sometimes the baby is the devil who needs to be gotten rid of to save the world, end quote. So if you go back to the Dina Schlosser case, what was that? She believed that her son, her baby, was the devil, and not specifically on that case, the devil with I think it was like a snake with multiple arms or something like that.
Yeah.
So she was trying to cut off the arms to kill the demon, and the demon was her baby from what she thought. She was mentally ill. This is the same case, one of these cases. Now, this happens in 1 out of 1,000 women that have babies. This is something to definitely think about, because that's not a lot of women that have babies. I mean, how many people have babies a day? You know, probably
Over 1,000.
A lot.
exactly, right? So this is actually pretty scary. On July 20th, Otty moved out of her home and checked herself into a hospital. She was hearing voices. She left the hospital. They discharged her. They didn't let her stay. The only thing that they gave her was a flyer for depression and anxiety. She goes in and says she goes into the hospital, says she's hearing voices. I'm a mother. I'm hearing voices. You may have depression and anxiety. Take this flyer.
Wow.
She takes the baby to her mother's home. The father tries to call daily to get the baby back. Quote, we were all trying to get her to come back, says the father's good friend, best friend, Matthew Mayer. Quote, she wouldn't answer the phone, end quote.
I'm wondering, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm wondering if the place that she went to when they gave her the flyer, if it was out of network or a different hospital branch of what she normally went to or had been to in the past, especially if she had been previously diagnosed with schizophrenia, because that should have been available in her medical history, especially in 2009.
Yeah, but the medical histories, they don't link up.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so for example, hear me out. All right, so if my doctors are at, this hospital. So let's say, all right, they know that I have X, Y, and Z. If I'm having an emergency,
you have X, Y, and Z?
Yes.
Fucking gross.
So if I am in a state of emergency and I can't make it to the hospital that I normally go to, like for example, what happened to me this past week, like they're not going to know that I have X, Y, and Z because they don't have access to my medical files. So I'm wondering if that's why maybe they kind of just like brushed her off and were like, you might have anxiety and depression, because if it was something that she went into the same network.
Yeah, but she's saying she's hearing voices.
That's what I'm saying, is that like if they don't have access all right, number one, yes, they should have investigated that further. I'm not saying that, but
she's a newborn or a new mother of a 3-week-old baby.
Right, so they should have investigated it further, but they didn't have the information available to them either. Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking. If it was the same place, because if it was the same place, there's no excuse because they have the access to that information. But if it was something in a different healthcare system, they may not have had that information, and they should have investigated it further, is what I'm saying.
Let's go back to the night it happened. Let's see what happened. Let's see how she killed her baby. Let's see what happened. See if this was just mother trying to get rid of her baby or if this was something else. So we're going back to the night, and this is really graphic. Sorry, I didn't cut you off, did I? I'm kind of drunk.
No, I was pretty much done.
Right. So if you want to read this, Nicole.
A tiny decapitated corpse lay on the bed, its skull cracked open and brain matter spilling out. 3 of the baby's toes were missing, apparently chewed off. As if that were not bad enough, the skin of the child's face had been ripped away. It looked as though he'd been attacked by a wild animal.
That's kind of fucked.
Wow. Well, no wonder the sister was just going to be like, she hurt the baby and that 911 call. And
Oh, yeah.
How do you explain that? Like,
Oh, she cut the baby's head off, ate his toes, and ripped his face off? That's too much to explain in a 911 call. July 25th, she shows up at her baby daddy's home that she shared with her mother, Kathleen. Otty was erratic and thought Kathleen, the mother, her stepmother, was trying to steal her baby and breastfeed him. You remember the voices that were telling Otty when she was 5 years old to do the right thing, and they were good voices and they were helping her out? These voices became negative and negative over the years. Started telling her that her own mother, Gloria, was the killer of John F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. Her own mother, killed both JFK and Marilyn Monroe. They also said that her baby was about to cause the apocalypse and was the Antichrist. Otty chewed off 3 of her infant's toes
like little carrots.
and then conceded to eat parts of the brain.
Oh, no. I don't like that.
The murder weapon found at the scene was 1 knife and 2 swords. They had samurai swords at the apartment. It's crazy.
The voices told me to eat his insides, she said. I was a harlot because I had committed adultery. There was a demon in my stomach and it would only come out if I ate Scotty. This had to be done by 5 in the morning. After that, Scotty would evolve and he would no longer be possessed.
So in these cases where they kill where the mother kills the baby, they're actually killing the baby to help the baby not become possessed. And this happened in the other case too, exactly the same. She was just trying to cut off the multiple arms of the baby, not trying to kill the baby, just trying to cut the demon's arms off from keeping spawning out of the baby. It's delusion. It's a trickery of the mind. It's a mental illness, you know. Tormented by these voices, Otty had gone to the kitchen and fetched a large knife. While eating the baby's flesh, the flesh off his face, and the baby's brain matter, quote, she gagged and threw up. But the voices told her to continue eating. That's fucked. Jen, you still with us? So, obviously, what do you think the sentence was? I mean, can you imagine? All right, so I said that the San Antonio Police Department had to offer counseling for every officer that went in there. Can you imagine seeing that? I mean, what? There's a decapitated baby corpse with no face and his toes are missing. How do you cope with that going through the rest of your life? Like, how do you go home? Hey, honey, yeah, what's for dinner? Oh, yeah, it's just one of those days, I guess.
MDMA.
How do you cope with that for the rest of your life?
MDMA.
What you saw, like, and these stories right here, just like as I remember the 3 Guys and One Hammer, even the most prolific horror writers, the best of the best in the biz, can't write something like this. It's too traumatic. They rely on jump scares and stuff like that. This is just trauma. It's just another world to see something like this. A cop seeing this, new on the force. I mean, how do you cope with that? But what do? You can't. The system is set up, thankfully, in my opinion, to not punish the people that actually could not help it. She was psychotic. She thought her baby was about to cause the apocalypse. She did what she thought she would do. And in her mind, she was the hero. You understand that? How do you punish someone for being a hero? You can't.
I wonder if her sister must have had some understanding of the fact that she was in a psychotic state, because in the 911 calls, she was saying, I killed my baby. And the sister was like, no one's dead. No one's dead. You guys remember that part?
Yeah. So as you remember, they were taking shifts with the baby. Otty's shift started from like 1:30 p.m. until like 2. So the baby was dead for an hour or two before she even noticed. The sister actually saw Otty sitting on the couch, like in a daze.
But why did she stab herself then? If she was that part of the voices as well?
No, that's a really good question. She actually did not stab herself. There were self-inflicted. Like when you stab, she was in such a frenzy that it cut her. Oh. She didn't stab herself per se.
Okay.
She thought she did.
Okay.
No one believes that she did this to murder her son. They believe that this was one of those cases. There's been cases like this. The Dina Schlosser case is a prime example. I mean, it was the same thing, and it's crazy. The psychology, it always revolves around religious connotations, religious symbols.
Well, the
baby is the apocalypse, the Antichrist. There's, I got to cut off the serpent's someone's head. In fact, there's a case going on right now. This veteran, PTSD, he was an infantry guy. He tried to kill Joe Biden, the president.
Oh, yes. And he called his sister beforehand and was like, I'm going to go kill the president. And then he got arrested.
Obviously he was psychotic or something, but there's always, what I'm trying to say is there's always a religious aspect to it, which is worth pondering, I think.
But it's interesting too, because it's not like this only happens in the human world. Like there are animals. I mean, like mothers are so nurturing to their young, but there is always an example where like there's an example of a mother eating her babies or being aggressive towards her babies when, even if it's not her first litter, if it's like her second litter or something like that, where she goes after one of them. So it's not something. It's interesting to kind of see the brain activity if you think about it, because it's not exclusive to humans.
So you can't actually hold her accountable.
Well, I mean, I would want her to receive some help before anything.
But what's different between this and the guy that stabbed those 5 kids? Because you were saying that guy should stay in a mental hospital for his entire life.
It's not different. I said I would want her to receive some help.
But she should be out, right?
That's not what I said. I said I would want her to receive some help to make sure that she's stable and is. It's the same kind of. It's the same connotation. Like if someone is going under, it has a bout of psychosis, and you can't control psychosis.
Yeah.
Especially postpartum psychosis, because that's more unpredictable. But she did have a diagnosis of schizophrenia before too, which is different than the last case talked about.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of that story? Crazy, right?
Very sad.
So she was found not criminally responsible, obviously, because of her mental condition. But
So is she in a mental health facility?
yeah, I think I don't know if she'll be out anytime soon. But from the last I've seen, that she's still somewhere getting treated. So I don't know.
Probably the best for her.
I mean, sad, man. Like we've done one of these cases before. Fucking terrible. I don't know why I fucking did that case. Definitely not a good drinking case.
It just made you drink.
Yeah.
Did it?
Well,
I don't know.
you drank. We'll just say that.
We did.
All right. Hope you guys like that. Until next time. Good night, you lovely, lovely people.